Everyone has a story they carry like an heirloom passed down, whispered about, sometimes half-believed, sometimes prayed to be forgotten. Your mother might talk about playing with a Ouija board when she was too young to know better. Your father might recall strange noises on a camping trip. Your siblings might spin tales of goblins and ghouls that were probably invented to scare you. Mine isn't secondhand. Mine belongs to me. It was the autumn of 2015, the first October after my father lost his battle with cancer. He left behind not just the company he built, but the estate our family had owned for nearly a century. It sat above the town of Cold Brook, a fog-drenched valley where silence carried more weight than sound. And to me, he left the mansion Gothic, sprawling, intimidating in every sense of the word. I was his only daughter, and so I was tasked with becoming not just the steward of his business, but the keeper of that house. I didn't want to do it alone, so I let my brother David, his girlfriend Claire, and their dog Duke move in. The place was big enough to swallow us whole, but at least I wouldn't be wandering its cavernous halls by myself. I didn't realize it then, but solitude would have been far safer. The drive up the mountain that night was like entering another world. Fog clung to the windshield, swallowing the headlights whole. Trees pressed in close, their branches skeletal against the sky. When the final bend gave way, the house appeared, the Stanton estate. My childhood home. Stone towers piercing the moonlight. Iron gates yawning open. The kind of place that looked alive even when it wasn't. Our caretakers Margaret, the maid, and her husband Henry, the groundskeeper, were just leaving for the night. They waved, their faces drawn, as if they were glad to get away. When I stepped out of the car, the air was unnaturally still. Not calm, not peaceful. It was the kind of stillness that presses on your chest, that makes you feel as though someone is waiting just beyond your vision. I hurried toward the door, fumbling with the keys beneath the stone archway. That's when I noticed it. Lying squarely on the welcome mat was a CD. The cover was plain, except for two words printed in dark red letters. Inside, Claire glanced up as I carried the CD into the foyer. "What's that?" she asked. "Some kind of mixtape?" I said half-jokingly, though my skin prickled. It was sitting outside. David came in behind me, already irritated. Some prank. Probably kids. But curiosity won. I asked David to grab my laptop, and soon enough, the disc spun to life inside the tray. Static filled the screen. The footage looked ancient, like something ripped off a VHS tape long forgotten. Then an image flickered into focus. A nun, seated with an acoustic guitar, surrounded by children. She sang an old tune I recognized immediately, "Tonight You Belong to Me." Sweet, simple, yet unsettling in that setting. At first, we laughed. It seemed ridiculous, even harmless. But as the video looped, her face began to change. Slowly, subtly, at first like an AI rendering something it didn't quite understand. Her features melted and reformed in unnatural ways. Her smile stretching too wide. Her eyes misaligned. Her movements jittering as though she wasn't bound by human anatomy. Her voice warped into a distorted, reversed echo of the song. That's when I slammed the laptop shut and pulled out the disc. I threw it in the kitchen trash. We laughed again, though more nervously this time. And that should have been the end of it. David left for a business trip the following day, leaving Claire, Duke, and me alone in the house. That night, I heard knocks, faint but deliberate. I told myself it was the mansion settling. Oldwood does that, right? By the third night, the noises were harder to dismiss. Claire woke me at 2 a.m, her face pale. "There's someone in my room," she whispered. My stomach dropped. I grabbed the handgun my father had kept in the nightstand, and together we crept into her room. It was empty, silent, but the air was wrong, charged like a storm about to break. Then we heard it, downstairs. the unmistakable creak of a door opening. We ran to the kitchen. The back door gaped wide, swinging in the night breeze. And on the island counter sat a single CD. We called the police. 2 officers arrived, a large, pale man named Reynolds and his partner, Officer Martinez, a woman with steady eyes and a reassuring tone. They searched the house, room by room, found nothing. But I'll never forget the way Reynolds froze at the back door, staring out into the yard, his face drained of color. He slammed the door shut, locking it with trembling hands. "We need to leave," he muttered. Martinez tried to question him, but he didn't answer. Moments later, they were gone, leaving us alone in that massive, breathing house. That was the last night I felt even a shred of safety within those walls. The following evening, as the clock neared midnight, it came again. Knock, knock, knock. Always 3, always slow. Claire and I armed ourselves, creeping down the grand staircase, only to find the front door undisturbed. Nothing outside but mist curling over the lawn. Relief almost fooled me into believing it was harmless, until the knocking returned. This time, from inside. At my bedroom door, Duke's fur bristled, his growl low and steady. My hand shook as I opened the door, Claire raising the gun. The hallway was empty, but the feeling of being watched didn't leave. If anything, it grew stronger. Another night, another disturbance. I awoke to the sound of paws against the floor, the jingle of a collar. I thought it was Duke, but when I opened the door, what I saw froze me cold. Duke was at the far end of the hallway, scratching desperately at Claire's door. His head snapped toward me with such force I swore his neck broke. Foam dripped from his mouth. His eyes glowed unnaturally bright. I whispered his name, pleading. Then I heard Claire's voice behind me. "Why are you out here?" She stood with Duke by her side. The real Duke. I turned back. The other one was still there, waiting. Then, lurching forward in jerky, inhuman strides, it dissolved into the shadows. And behind it came something else. A figure, twisted, broken, its arms outstretched, its joints cracking as if bones were being shattered and reassembled with every step. We ran. We bolted down the stairs, Duke barking furiously, the walls vibrating with an unholy wail from that thing as it chased us. The sound was enough to shatter glass. We barely made it to the car, hearts pounding, breathless with terror. I don't remember the drive. I only remember the motel room, the way we sat in silence for hours, unable to speak, unable to sleep. For a week, we stayed there, eating junk food, glued to the TV but never really watching, waiting for David to come home. When he was due back, I couldn't bring myself to step foot in that house without help. So we called a medium, a woman named Eleanor Gray. She was older, kind, with a firmness in her voice that made me believe she wasn't just taking advantage of frightened people. She agreed to meet us at the estate. What we found when we returned defied explanation. Every door had been forced open. Paint was clawed from the walls. The laptop we'd left behind blared with distorted music, the nun's reversed lullaby echoing through the halls. Eleanor didn't flinch. She walked straight to the laptop, pulled the disc out, and slipped it into her bag. "This doesn't belong to you anymore," she said. Her voice carried the weight of finality. And for the first time, I felt the faintest flicker of relief. That relief didn't last. David's car was in the driveway. His bags were inside, but he was nowhere to be found. We called the police again. They searched, investigated, questioned us over and over. But David Stanton was never seen again. To this day, he remains missing. And though no one will ever say it aloud, Claire and I know the truth. The lamb had claimed its sacrifice. One of us was spared, and one of us was taken. A lamb for the slaughter. The guilt is a weight I still carry, heavier than the house itself ever was. Every morning, I wonder if he's somewhere better with our father or if he's trapped with whatever horror lived in that disc. All I can tell you is this. If you ever come across a CD marked The Lamb, don't play it. Don't touch it. Walk away. Because once it's in your life, it will not leave until it takes what it wants. That was my story. Some people will say it's just a tale, a bit of local folklore twisted over the years. Others will believe every word. But here's what I want to ask you. What do you think? Have you ever wondered if violence and injustice in life come from places we can't see? Forces that feed on suffering? Do you think stories like mine are warnings or just mirrors of the cruelty people already live with every day? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know where you stand. Do you believe evil hides in objects, in places, in people, or is it something much closer to home?